Don't overthink things, especially while you are young. Don't overthink things. When you see an opportunity that looks great, don't start thinking about why you can't do it. Don't start thinking about how hard it's going to be. Don't think about any of that. Just go after it. Young man, young woman, do you have any dreams? If you have any dreams, if you have any goals, I'm going to talk to you about one of the secrets that I figured out very early on in my life that allowed me to make great leaps and bounds while I was still young. I'm going to share that secret with you today, and I want you to stick around and pay attention because I want you to go after your dreams. Okay? I know sometimes it sounds silly, it sounds like a cliche, but I want you to go after your dreams and I want you to do it now. Now, if you're not a spring chicken anymore, you're not necessarily a young man or a young woman anymore, this can help you too. So stick around and listen because this still applies. It just applies a little bit more so for the young people. So this is Mark Johnson. I am the founder of Bounce Pep, bringing you ideas for a fit and flourishing future. I want you to be a subscriber. You want to be a subscriber, you know it, so go ahead and subscribe. If you're already subscribed, thank you very much. Let me jump right into this. Now, when I say young, I'm talking about people who are in their 20s or younger. So if you're in your teens, I actually have some teen viewers. So if you're in your teens or your 20s, I'm talking mostly to you today, okay? Mostly to you. And the reason is because I want you to understand that this time in your life right now is the time where you have the least number of obligations. You have the fewest amount of chains on your ankles holding you back from doing what you really want to do. Don't pay attention to my cat. He's just happy to be here with you all. Now, with that said, if you're young, this is really your time. I want you to understand, I am not in my 20s anymore. You can probably look at me and see I'm not in my 20s anymore. I'm well past that stage. But what I can tell you is this: now that I have, a wife and three daughters, and I have to pay for private schools for my daughters, and I've been running Bounce Pep, and you got a mortgage like so many people, and I have obligations. I cannot just make a decision willy nilly, irregardless of how it's going to affect my family and other people that I'm supporting, other people that, that can be impacted by a decision. So while you're young and you don't have all of those obligations to consider, this is your time to be making your moves. So, what is the secret that I want to tell you? Okay, that can actually help you make, huge leaps early on in your life? Well, let me start off by just telling you something about my story so that you understand where I'm coming from. Now, I don't talk about it a lot, but I am from Detroit, Michigan, in the United States. You probably have heard me mention that I live in Japan. So I was born and raised in the United States, but most of my adult life, I've been here in Japan living. Okay. Now, how did that happen? Well, when I was going to high school, my high school was Martin Luther King Jr. Senior High School in Detroit, Michigan. And when I first started going to that school, they offered Japanese as a course. And, usually in high school, the typical languages would be like Spanish and French. But when I heard they had Japanese, I was like, wow, okay, that's something totally different. And at the time, Japan was really an up and coming economic power. And so they were just all over the news. And the United States really viewed Japan as an economic rival. So Japan had a lot of buzz and it had a lot of kind of forward moving energy at the time. And so it was really exciting to me to just have this opportunity to learn Japanese because it was so out of the ordinary, to be able to learn that at high school. So I jumped on the opportunity. Now, after that first year, all of the parents who had children who were studying Japanese at school decided to basically form a group and then take a trip to Japan. And so we got together and we took a 2 week trip to Japan, and that was great. And it just opened up my eyes. It was like a whole different world. And again, I was just so excited by the opportunity. And I remember coming here and just being fascinated, just being smitten by how much, like the economic vitality was just totally different level from what I was accustomed to in Detroit. It was just a totally different level. And I was really, really fascinated by that. So, anyway, make a long story short, that trip ended. We came back. And then the very next year, I found out like about an exchange program. So, this is one where I would go to Japan, and then later on, a kid would come from Japan and stay with us here in the United States with my family. Actually, I shouldn't say here in the United States because now I'm in Japan. But back then I was in the United States. So I would go to Japan and spend a couple weeks, and then the kid from that I stayed with in Japan would come to the United States and stay with us for a couple weeks. And so that was the exchange program, and we would go to school and things like that, and just basically live life for 2 weeks. So that again was an opportunity. I found out about it. I didn't overthink. I didn't think a lot about it. It was just like, there's the opportunity. I'm going to apply and see what happens. So I applied, got it. It, I don't remember it being difficult. I just saw the opportunity and I went after it, and it happened. Now, after I graduated, or actually, this is before I graduated. Let me back up. Before I graduated, I heard about another program that was, it would take me to Japan, and it would actually be a work study program. So this meant that I would be working to make money, and then I would be studying at the same time. So basically, I would be in Japan and I would have money in my pocket because I was working and studying at the same time. And so again, I didn't overthink it. I'm like, well, just how do I apply? Where, just tell me the details. And I went after it. Make a long story short, got accepted to that. So spent almost a year in Japan just doing that. And I started learning Japanese by leaps and bounds at that time, because then I was actually living in Japan and I was surrounded by, the language and the culture and everything. And so it was very easy to pick up Japanese very quickly then. That's when I really, really started learning. Uh, so, I ended up doing another stint in Japan like that. So I did two stints like that actually. Later on, I had a friend who told me about a scholarship that was offered by the Ministry of Education in Japan. Okay. And he said, look, I think you should apply for this scholarship. He said, they'll pay for everything. All you have to do is come and study, and they'll give you money to, like, they'll literally just give you money to study. And I said, okay. I didn't think about it. I didn't ruminate. I didn't ponder a whole bunch. I just said, okay, let me find out what the process is. I went to the consulate general in Detroit, got the application, filled out everything, turned in all my papers and all that stuff. There was a test and there was an interview and all that. Went through all that. At the time, I had a teacher in in the university I was going to, and I asked her for a recommendation for the scholarship, and she said no. And I was like, really? I was an A student, and I just couldn't believe that she said no. I did not understand why this woman told me no. And so, anyway, to make a long story short, again, I just saw an opportunity and went after it. Okay. I ignored all that stuff with the teacher. I turned in all my application documents. I took the test. I went to the interview. They contacted me several months later and said, hey, we selected you. So I got the scholarship. I remember going back to the university and telling the teacher I got the scholarship, and she was stunned. Like she was like, "What? You got it?" I said, "Yeah, I got the scholarship." No hard feelings, but just wanted to throw that in there. And my point was telling you that is that even when you have small little obstacles like that, sometimes you just have to ignore it and keep going for it. Okay. And so I got the scholarship, came to Japan, everything was paid, room, board, tuition. They gave me a stipend, which is basically spending money every single month. And it was just a wonderful experience. Again, I learned so much. I was, studying economics and Japanese language. And it was just a great experience. And again, but it was the same pattern, okay? The same pattern. See the opportunity and go for it. And so this is the secret that I want to reveal to you. Look, don't overthink things, especially while you are young. Don't overthink things. When you see an opportunity that looks great, don't start thinking about why you can't do it. Don't start thinking about how hard it's going to be. Don't think about any of that. Just go after it. Okay? Just go after it. Because you're at the age right now that you don't have the obligations. For instance, if somebody like I have a lot of obligations right now. I can't just do any old thing I want to do like I could when I was, 20 years old. Okay? But if you're still young, understand this is your time. I'm telling you, this is your time. You can make great leaps and bounds if you identify opportunities and just go after it. Go after it. Now, stop thinking, stop stumbling over yourself, stop trying to look at a million different options. Identify a great opportunity and just go for it. If you don't, if it doesn't come through for you, it's okay. That doesn't stop you from going for it. Just go for it. Okay. I want you to take this to heart because you deserve not only to have dreams, you deserve to chase your dreams. You deserve to chase your dreams. Okay. Now, with that said, let me give you a little add on to this idea of, you know, what I say when I'm telling you don't overthink it, there's an add on to that, and it is this idea of speed. Speed is going to be very, very important in your early life, okay? Because while other people are overthinking things and slow and indecisive and coming up with all kinds of excuses and reasons why they couldn't and shouldn't do something, if you move with speed, you will propel yourself so much more. Like, your velocity will be so much higher than theirs because they're wasting time overthinking things. And when you don't overthink things while you're young and you have all this energy and potential, you can move with great speed. Okay? If you ever want to understand how people accomplish a lot when they're young, you see somebody who's young and they seem to accomplish a lot when they're young, I'm telling you, it's because they're moving fast. They're not overthinking everything. Now, there's a caveat to this. I'm not telling you that there aren't certain situations where you need to slow down and think more slowly, but I'm giving you a general secret about how you can make fast progress early on in your life if you're a young person. Stop overthinking things. See the opportunity and go after it. Go after it. Okay. By the time I had done all that in high school and college, I came out of college and the very first thing I did, I came to work in Japan in the government and I was interpreting for the governor. I was helping him write speeches. I mean, it was bananas. I was doing all this stuff like I couldn't have seen that when I was 14. I didn't know. And it wasn't that long after that, I just it was like I was on a rocket ship or something, right? But it's because I saw opportunities, didn't overthink it, and I went after them. So that's the secret I wanted to share with you today. Go after it. Stop overthinking. Move quickly. If you're young, your dreams have a place in this world, okay? And you have a place in this world, but you have to go after it. You don't have the obligations holding you back right now, okay? So you can move. But you got to be decisive and you got to say, I'm going to do it now. And don't worry about failing. Just don't worry about that. Don't worry about this, whether it's going to work out or not. Just go after it. Try. That's what I'm telling you. Okay. So this has been Mark Johnson, the founder of Bounce Bet, bringing you ideas for a fit and flourishing future. I hope that you felt how much I care about you making progress in your life and making it early on. I want you to do that. I want you to have that experience because it was such a wonderful and powerful experience for me. And I know that if you stop overthinking things and just go after it, you have the best shot of really, really making huge leaps and bounds in your life while you're young. So with that, take that with you, okay? Now I want you to don't overthink it. Don't overthink this message. If you need to play it back once or twice, go ahead and play it back. But I want you to take it to heart. And with that said, I'll talk to you next time. Peace out.